like I've got like my house car there, like I got my bro there to hold me down.
Right.
But dude, like I got a armory, which is really dope because I have all these different types of armor that.
Yeah, I just store all mine in a trunk.
Yeah, and you can put them on display.
Ooh.
Like I've got the Forsworn. I've got I joined them up apparently at some point. Don't remember doing that, but I've got like crazy Forsworn armor that's on display. I've got my dragon bone armor.
I love the dragon bone armor.
I've got my Daedric armor, and then I made another set because Daedric armor is totally legit.
Yeah, well, you got to find those Daedra hearts first, right?
Yeah,
and they're not the easiest things to find.
Well, you can go to the Shrine of Meru's dragon,
right? And I think there are a couple of retailers throughout.
Yeah, that's true
the world that you can find. I went online and I was like Daedra heart locations because I got my basically I ground my smithing up to 100. That was the first skill I got up to 100.
You have to, man.
What I would do...
Well, you got to be able to enhance magical items.
Exactly. I mean, my character was like a level 13 or 14, but I had like 100 smithing because I would go to every city and buy all the leather strips and all of the cheapest metal and just make dagger after dagger or like gauntlets. Greaves. Can you make greaves in the game?
I think so.
It's been a while since I played, but anyway. I love Skyrim so much.
It's so good.
So is Mass Effect 2. I finished it last night.
But I apparently in Dawnguard, which is the
vampire one,
the vampire expansion, you can make arrows. Which I've been obsessed with arrows, my archery lately.
Really?
Well, because I'm an orc, and before I just had a giant fucking warhammer, and I would just waylay on everything.
Right.
And now I'm like, I want to have a little bit of fun, and I've gotten pretty good with my archery, which. With Oblivion, I never really messed around with that.
Right.
But,
I would try to hunt with my arrow. Finally, I just gave it to Lydia, and I was like, you hunt.
But, I'm getting pretty good. And it's as sadistic as it sounds, it's so much more satisfying. Like, being 50 yards away and pulling that bow back and letting the arrow fly. Especially when it slow-mos. Mm-hmm. And just you see it fly and you see it sink in, and you hear, oh, and they fly back. And then people are like, what's going on? What's happening? And they just pick them off, too. It's pretty awesome. What sucks, though, is when you have a follower and they just screw everything up. And like, dude, just be cool.
Oh, who won't stay put? They're like, ah!
Yeah, like, I want to kill them. I'm like, oh, you go what you do. You're an NPC, so...
Fine.
You're an essential, so you won't die.
You can't die unless I kill you.
So go nuts.
Right. I'll try not to kill you. I accidentally killed Lydia so many times.
I did and didn't realize it and saved. And so
I married her.
She's dead forever.
I killed her so many times, but I only married her once.
I wish I could have married... There's 2 different girls I wish I could have married.
We all have that story. In Skyrim.
I married a woman who ran a shop with her brother.
And I think she and her brother were a little too close.
Well, just because after I got that amulet you need to marry someone, the amulet of Mara...
As soon as you put it on, the first woman who sees you is like, hey.
Well, no, they have to be... like
of marryable
they have
programming.
Exactly. And usually you have to like do something for them as per,
just like real life.
But
they all want something.
Well, you got to get them to like you. So like it's like, oh, hey, I need some cabbages, and like, here's some cabbages. Like, oh, thanks.
It's courting.
And
you court them.
And so after that, they're like, oh, what's up?
All it took was some cabbages.
And so, this one I had to like get an amulet back or like a ring back, like a family heirloom that was stolen from the shop, and I had already done that. So I'm like, oh, I already did that. So I'm going to go talk to her and ask her to marry me.
Right.
Well, there's this other woman in Whiterun that every time I see her, she's like, it's a pleasant day with you around. And I'm like, what's up, girl? I got this place up in the Pale. It's just my house Carl's there, but he can go down.
You're setting up franchises.
He can go down to the basement. It's not a big deal.
Or if you're into the Eiffel Tower situation.
And then there's also in Whiterun there's Ayala. She's in the Companions. She's a huntress.
Oh yeah, she's pretty badass.
She's pretty awesome, and we go out. We fuck shit up together,
But I got a wife at home. That's, let that be a lesson, kids. Don't get married too soon.
Don't get married too soon.
Wait until you've explored the full kingdom.
And yeah, and what's dope is, because she runs that shop with her brother, I guess she still owns like half of it.
So she's getting money.
So she gives me money.
Yeah, Lydia set up a little business on the side, and she'll I'll come home and I'll be like, "Hey, have we gotten it?" I don't know what she's doing, but after
I don't know what she's doing,
but I'll leave.
It's not as tight as it used to be.
So I had to switch it up. I forget I said that.
So where silence has Lease.
Yes. We'd rather talk about Skyrim than this episode.
This episode's lame.
Sauce. It is very lame.
They come across this black hole. There's an alien inside of it.
It traps them. Pulaski comes out, and she's like, "Well, just pull out," which is always her doctoral advice. And Data isn't responding to her commands right away, so she turns around and says to Picard, "Does it understand me? Does it understand me?" Playing the asshole card one more time.
A Romulan ship, a warbird, shows up, and Picard has to attack it and destroys it. There's no debris, so right then and there, they're like, something's afoot.
Right.
They go to the USS Yamamoto to try to get some people out. Yamato. What's Yamato with you? They're seeing they're doppelgangers. They're seeing hallucination type things. The alien.
I've already forgotten all this.
Turns it at one point. They get the alien on the view screen. It turns.
It's like I look human,
and
right?
It's after I did all this work to look like you,
and they're like,
which looks like what a crazy 6-year-old who's been locked in a trunk for his entire life thinks humans look like. It
looks a little bit, we need to talk about Jeffrey's drawings.
Yeah, exactly.
Conference call with the teacher. Or it also reminds me, do you remember back in the Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who when they go to the space station to see the end of the Earth, you know? And there's that last human, but it's just a face, stretched across. It kind of reminded me of that too, he might go on a date with her.
The face power couple?
Yeah. The sci-fi space power couple.
And so the alien's like, "Oh, I guess you guys are alright." And then leaves.
Pretty much.
And that's the episode. Really lame episode. It's pretty lame.
Especially, I kind of enjoyed The Child. I mean, the whole pregnancy thing. There was a lot of great character stuff in The Child.
The third episode.
I liked this one a lot.
Elementary, Dear Data.
Yes.
Data and Geordi LaForge
go on a Sherlock Holmesian adventure.
Yeah, they're about to. The Enterprise is about to bro down with the Victory, and Geordi was an ensign on it, so he makes his old captain a model of the
original Victory,
the wind in
wind in the sails, maritime
from pirate times.
From pirate
times. And he explains to Data wouldn't it be so dope to sail this? And he's like, dude, you got dilithium crystals and wackadoo
antimatter.
And he's like, yeah, but you always want what you can't have. Am I right? And Data's like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, you're not human.
Never trusted you. Pulaski's right.
And so he's like, I always want to sail an old ship like this. And Data, he's like, you said you wanted to see me. You said it was urgent. He's like.
I didn't know Data could show signs of annoyance.
And so, and Geordi's like, yeah, let's go play Sherlock Holmes. Cue music.
I thought that was very cute, though. That I think they've kind of found Geordi, and Geordi's just a really nice person. I think.
Very nice.
And I really enjoy his relationship with Data, and I love that they get to spend a lot of time with it in this episode. And the fact that he's doing something for his friend, that he's willing to play sidekick to Data Sherlock Holmes because he knows Data is a fan of the genre.
He would absolutely love it.
And that he sets it up. It's that's something a friend does. A friend is he would love this.
It's your birthday.
Right.
It's your birthday. So they show up and they kind of fanboy out all over
Baker Street.
221B Baker Street. And
then the inciting incident starts to happen. The characters show up who are going to start the story.
Yeah.
and Data pretty much solves the mystery.
Like, well, he's read that one,
right.
So he solves it immediately. Geordi loses his mind and like wigs out and leaves.
Right. And Data's like, I don't understand. And he's like, it's not fun. The fun is solving the mystery. And they're talking in 10 forward, and Pulaski's like, he's not human.
He can't understand it. You're wasting your time.
You're smart, Data, but you don't have a heart. You're not a person.
Yeah, he's like, she butts in, and it's like, he starts throwing shade Data's way again about being a soulless robot.
And they're surprisingly decent to her about it. Like, that's grounds for fist fighting. Like,
I'd be like, shut up. Hey, not
racist old lady.
Hey, not Dr. Crusher. Shut up. I hate you. So they decide to have the computer make a Holmesian-esque mystery.
Right, a mashup.
Combine
elements of the Holmes mythos into an original tale.
Which is that's what they do. It's like this cobbled together Holmes story.
But Data still...
He, recognizes the tropes. Or, not even the tropes, just, the
elements of the story that
the
were
elements.
lifted out.
And Pulaski throws more shade, and she's like, that's not he couldn't do it. He's a robot. He's not a real boy. Hey, Pinocchio. So Geordi ups the ante, tells the computer to make something real juicy, something real hot.
An opponent who could defeat Data.
And it causes a surge of power. They cut to the bridge, and Worf's like, there's a surge of power. And he's like, and Riker's like, what? And he's like, never mind, it's gone. Doesn't matter. And then cut back to the holodeck.
Right.
Just so you know something happened.
And Moriarty has already seen the Arch.
Yeah. You don't know who it is.
But you see a man in a nice suit.
You see a character in the holodeck notice the Arch.
Right.
And he's able to call it up, which at this point they don't explain
that they shouldn't be able to call it.
Which I'm like, shouldn't that be a thing? Like, shouldn't the computer be able to tell a difference between, oh, this is a voice I created versus, oh, this is a real voice? And right then I'm like, this is bananas. There's got to be a failsafe.
Right.
Well, yeah, that it is. Like Geordi explains that characters from the holodeck should be able to do that.
But because he gave it new parameters,
and it gave. The holodeck basically gave the power to Moriarty, this character who ends up being Moriarty.
Right.
And so he calls it up after they leave, and so he kidnaps Pulaski.
Yep.
And Holmes and Watson are on the trail. They solve the murder of an ex-con while they're doing that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
They hook up with Moriarty, who explains that he has Pulaski, and he's now running the holodeck, and in fact has
figured out that they are they're inside of a massive vessel.
Yeah, he draws us a picture of the Enterprise, which they're like, they don't. He just hands them a piece of paper, and they're like, "What's on the paper?" Because they're freaking out. And it's a drawing of the Enterprise.
That was a good reveal. I liked that a lot.
And so they have a meeting with Picard, and they're like, and that's when Geordi realizes that he effed up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I might have told them to,
What a bummer it must be to explain to your boss, like, we fucked up the best toy on the ship, and now we're all going to die.
Right?
Like, that is the worst meeting to sit in with your boss.
I mean, it'd be one thing to be like, hey...
It got out of control. The programmer must have fucked up.
Or even like, oh yeah, the PlayStation 3 is broken. Like, oh, that sucks. It was like, oh, the PlayStation 3 is broken, and we're all going to die.
The God of War character is going to kill us.
It's like those PS3 commercials where all the characters are alive. Except not cool.
Yeah, except not fun and not over in 30 seconds, except for the 30 seconds where he kills us.
Yeah, except for the fact that we'll be dead.
This bummed me out a little bit, because this is when Picard sort of like, well, I'll come into the story, and he sort of acts as Deus Ex Machina. I really wanted Data to solve the mystery.
Yeah, for sure.
To prove Pulaski wrong, but actually Data is defeated.
Yeah. Moriarty basically, he's like, I want to be out there.
Right.
I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be on the ship.
Right. I'm not this character anymore. I'm like, something new.
Like, yeah, he's like, I have this knowledge. I'm not just something that somebody else created.
Right. I'm not a shadow anymore. I'm an actual sentient creature.
And Picard explains to him, like, you can't go out there.
Right.
You can't do it.
I tried it last time.
And he's like, so you're saying if I leave here, I'll cease to exist? He's like, yeah. He's like, you have technology to do that? And Picard's like, no. But he gives him a compromise. He says, we'll save you on